is there any way that Hashem will allow something that He said not allowed to be allowed? Well, that would mean that HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed His mind. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu writes to the prophet, Machshevotai lo machshevotechem. My thoughts are not like your thoughts. I don't change my mind. Once Hashem says something, He doesn't change His mind. So if He says that every Jew has to keep Shabbat, every Jew has to keep Shabbat. If He says every Jew has to eat kosher, every Jew has to eat kosher. 3,000 years ago and 3,000 years after. Doesn't make a difference. Same thing with homosexuality being an abomination and forbidden both for Jews and non-Jews. Wasting seed being an abomination and forbidden both for Jews and non-Jews. So there's no way for Hashem to change His mind, and therefore His law does not change, and therefore it can never be allowed. Now, yes, of course, a person can make this sin, but still fulfill other mitzvot. It doesn't mean that it's allowed. It simply means that they'll get punished for this sin, and they'll get rewarded for the mitzvot that they do. But a person needs to know that homosexuality is not a disease, it's not a cold, it's simply a desire, and it's following your desire too far. If you're a human being, and that's normal, you should be able to control your desires. Which means that even if you find every single girl ugly as sin, doesn't mean you have to marry a man. Even if you find every man as beautiful as a rainbow, doesn't mean you have to marry a man. Doesn't mean that you have to follow your desires. If somebody, for example, likes fire, doesn't mean he has to light the building on fire, chas v'shalom. If somebody likes to steal stuff, doesn't mean he has to steal. If somebody likes to eat, doesn't mean he has to eat everything in sight. You're a human being that has the ability to control himself. And I could tell you a real story, you could find it on my website. This is testimony from a student of mine. Testimony from a student of mine, he wrote the letter, not me. When he first was introduced to my shiurim, he was living in San Francisco, I believe, a place that promotes homosexuality. His whole life he thought that being homosexual was perfectly fine and even admirable. 17 years old. Started learning our Shulei Torah, not only realized that homosexuality is against Hashem, against human nature, against human logic, but it's also an abomination, meaning it's considered disgusting in the eyes of Hashem. Now, this turned his whole world upside down. He started learning Torah, started learning our shiurim on a regular basis, took it seriously. 2 years later, he writes this letter, and you can see his on my website. It's called Tshuva Stories. You see his letter there. He says after 2 years, not only has he stopped homosexuality already a long time ago, he says after 2 years, I don't even have the desire. The desire that I thought was like part of me, was my disease, I was born this way, all that garbage. He says, I don't even have the desire to perform any homosexuality. He says, I'm perfectly attracted to women, I can't wait to get married, and so on and so forth. Baruch Hashem, he's going to get married very soon. Point being, Rabotai, if you take out the garbage out of your mind and you insert Torah, it can fix all the problems. If you allow the garbage into your mind, even if you have Torah, it'll be just garbage. It'll be smelly Torah. Meaning, it's not just about inserting Torah into your neshama. It's taking out the garbage too. You know, sometimes you can clean something, and on the exterior, it looks beautiful, it looks white, but it still smells. Because it's been in filth for a long time. So it looks clean, it's white, like when you bought it, but it still smells disgusting. So that next part of the cleaning is a little more effort. But if you do it, then it's like brand new. Your neshama, we made a lot of messes. We made a lot of sins. If you clean it, it'll be like brand new. It'll be better than you got it. If you don't, nothing's going to help you. Desires get worse over time. Behavior gets worse over time. And life gets worse over time without Torah. That's why the Gemara Masechet Pesachim says, an ignorant person deteriorates mentally and physically as he ages, whereas a righteous person that's a Talmid Chacham improves mentally, spiritually as he ages. Physically, of course, everybody deteriorates, but mentally, you'll see, for example, the Chachamim, at 95 years old, they're sharper than any 20-year-old you can find.